Okay. Good evening. I want you to notice your mind and your being at the moment. And I want you to pay attention to what you've done. You stepped out of your daily activity to come over here. In effect, you set aside the things you're normally concerned with, involved with, and then you socialized for a bit. And then we began by having a quiet time. And during the quiet time, you stepped out of the social realm and chose to become quiet, contemplative, in one form or another. And you did it with the intention of being ready to listen. Give your attention to the contents of the course and to me. Again, I want you to just pay attention to the atmosphere within you at this moment. What is present and what's absent that is normally present most of the rest of the time. The reason I'm bringing this up is you can do all of this without coming over here. You can go into the bedroom or the bathroom or someplace where you know you won't be interrupted for a few minutes, and you can sit down, disengage from the current activities and the current concerns, and you can choose for those few minutes to become as quiet as possible with the intent to be ready to listen. And you can ask me anything you want. And I will answer you, whether you hear it or not. I want you to know that I will answer you whether you have managed to be able to hear me yet or not. Always I answer. I encourage you to find it valuable at odd times when you're at home or at the office, wherever, to go through exactly the process you've gone through this evening. Because it is the way you prepare yourself for being able to hear. You must, through whatever means you find helpful, become still. And then you must express a desire to know something, to have an answer, to have a clarity revealed, and then be still and listen. It's not any harder to do at home than it has been to do it here tonight. And it's worth doing at least once a day. if you're not already in touch with your guidance. Just to get into the habit of being willing to set aside your conscious intent to attend to your concerns, and instead let your intent be to reach out, to invite, and to let in whatever's needed. Don't work at it any more than you worked at it tonight. If you aren't in touch with your guidance solidly, the frequent process that I have just described will enhance the quality of your attentiveness, the quality of your quietness, and therefore your ability to hear. If you wish to connect with your guide rather than me, by all means, let that be where you give your attention, because your guide is just as awake as I am, and your guide will answer you as I would answer you. We all have your best interest at heart, and our intent is to convey to you what the Father would have you know. Not what we think you ought to know, but what the Father would have you know, so that your connection with the Father may begin to be established as your conscious experience. And we all know how to do this equally well. Okay. We will begin with Miracle Principle 42, and let us begin.
A major contribution of miracles is their strength in releasing you from your false sense of isolation, deprivation, and lack.
It's inevitable when you experience a sudden shift of perception that you can't account for, that you realize that if you can't account for it and you didn't provide it to yourself, it must have come from somewhere, and therefore the event of the penetration of your awareness of something you are not accountable for is inescapable proof that you are not alone, and that the one or ones you are with relate to you in a way that is utterly beneficial and therefore utterly trustworthy. Not trustworthy because I told you it's trustworthy, but because the experience of it demonstrates itself to be trustworthy. So it breaks the isolation. Continue.
A miracle is never lost. It may touch many people you have not...
No, number 43.
Oh, where are we? 43?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Even with my glasses, okay. Miracles arise from a miraculous state of mind or a state of miracle readiness.
Well, I'm going to ask a question. Who would like to describe to me something that is definitely not a state of miracle readiness?
When we're in the throes of a mutually agreed upon concept.
Pretty smart.
Uh-oh, that scares me.
That's the quote right answer, yes. But I want a personal. Tell me a way that tell me something that you have done that constitutes a state of the absence of miracle readiness.
The absence. Oh, that's easy. Worrying about things that seem that are going awry. In other words, being totally engrossed in worry and fear and saying, oh, it's all coming apart, this is going all wrong. Oh, woe is me, how did I ever get into this? I'm a real jerk.
Well, I think you used up all the reasons. You're correct. Indeed. A state of mind that is not miracle ready is one that is confident that the worst will happen, or that something less than the best will happen, that the situation is hopeless, and so on, yes. So a state of miracle readiness would be
enjoying your object of affection.
yes.
I think a state of mind that is not miracle ready is when I think that I'm alone and in a hostile universe.
Yes.
The opposite of which is remembering that I'm at one with God and everything, which is the miracle state of mind.
Yes. Anyone else?
When someone, and I've noticed myself actually many times during the day, feels so confident that all my defenses are all in order, I'm ready to defend all my little fort, and I'm able to, and if something goes awry, well, either I've failed myself or else I just wasn't strong enough.
These are examples of a mind not miracle ready.
That was it.
Yes. Now, what would be an example of miracle readiness?
I think a quietness, a willingness to release, a very frank willingness to release my sense of my own will as being all that there is, and to listen to perhaps for the truth.
Unexpected.
Just listen.
Yes, for the unexpected.
Yes.
Yes. Another way of putting it is that a miracle-ready state of mind is one in which faithlessness is not being practiced. And I do want to point out that faith does not have to be practiced in order for one to be miracle-ready. One simply has to be neglecting to practice faithlessness. And faithlessness is when you say, everything is going wrong and it's not going to change. Or My situation is awful and I'm stuck. You see? Okay.
I was just going to say, having curiosity, wondering how your need is going to be met next, but not knowing how that might, and being curious to see how it's going to happen. It's kind of a miracle readiness.
That is correct. Anyone else?
Practicing to recognize spirit rather than the body can just immediately make the person that you want to, or the moment before you had all these concepts about, it can just flip it, and suddenly that all there is just this sense of love from this beautiful person. It's just so amazing that I don't know why I don't do that more often.
Anyone else? Just a moment.
Lately it feels like, I'm just watching my screen, that I'm willing to wait too. Like even just stand somewhere and not know whether I should walk into the store, whether I should turn right, whether I should turn left. And the other day it kind of felt like when I was a little kid, and when you go in somewhere and it's really your parents that are in charge, and so you just kind of like wait to be told, like, okay, go sit there, okay, do this, do that, right? Instead of just thinking I know and rushing in and with my plan, even if it's to get a cup of coffee, like just everything sort of slows down.
So you might say that a miracle-ready mind is one which is attentive without designs in place. Attention is a form of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And when you know what you're going to do, you're not paying attention.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's what happens to adults. Adults,
Hold it up
unfortunately.
higher. Just hold it up higher. No,
Oh.
there. Your hand.
Oh.
Sorry. There you go.
Adults, unfortunately, have taken on this stance that was expected of them to take on. That you're
It's not
supposed
by
to know
accident.
by the time you're a certain age
That's right.
what you're doing.
You are taught. Yes.
And I wasn't ever very good at that, and so my father still treats me like I'm 17 because I'm acting like that to him, you know. So I have to forgive him for that a lot.
The majority of the tension that everyone feels comes from the fact that they are behaving as though they know when they don't, and they know they don't, and so they know.
They hope you don't notice.
That is correct. And the likelihood that you're the fact that you're being a fake is likely to be discovered. That causes ongoing tension. So why not accept what you've known all along? The one thing you've known is that you don't know. Trying to know, and you stop behaving as though you do know, and you find your peace with it. What happens? That's when you become attentive, because you abandon your plans. You abandon the techniques that you use to appear to know when you don't know. And that's when you become receptive. That's when your mind is available for the penetration of truth to occur, for insight to occur, for a sudden shift of perception to occur.
I think a lot of people have felt that they didn't fit in because they weren't following the adult stance of knowing. And that was a mistake. That's a mistake too, because not fitting
of the mutually agreed upon definitions. If you have mutually agreed to the definitions and meanings of things, then you must not break that contract. Else you'll be on the outside and everyone will let you know that you're not in the group anymore and that you are not accepted, and that what you have become by virtue of not honoring the mutual agreement is unacceptable, despicable, insane, irresponsible, that you are no longer worthy of respect. And these are the ways that those who are abiding by the mutually agreed upon definitions try to cause you to feel shame in order to coerce you back into the group. But mind you, as long as you're in the group, as long as you're committed to the mutually agreed upon definitions, you're not paying attention.
Recently, I had a resume go online, and the girl who was helping me do this and I were discussing whether or not, how do we get around the age factor? Because it's something such as that where they're just looking at a piece of paper and they're studying whether you're worthy of a position, and then not knowing you and not knowing your vitality or your ability, by virtue of where you really are at that point in your life, not by the numbers, but by virtue of what you are, in fact. And so there was no way to get around, the numbers, because you can't really lie, really, do it either. So it's a very interesting position to be in for me, because I've never tried this angle before of online resume. So it really kind of opened my eyes up to the fact that I really am at the mercy of the will of the Father. More so now than ever before, I recognize that, and it's not an imposition on me. I realized that I really did surrender at that moment of recognition that I can trust, not because it's an interesting spiritual practice, but nothing left for me to do.
It's an essential practice.
It's essential,
exactly. Yes.
And that I really can't get around it anymore. Even if I wanted to play at the game of manipulating my good into my experience, that's no fun anymore, to whatever degree I had been doing it. It's nice to get there.
So to not be miracle ready would be to devote yourself to assumptions.
Like nobody will hire you because of your age.
Exactly. Exactly. To be miracle ready then means to abandon all assumptions, to set all assumptions aside for a moment even, and say, aside from all of my assumptions, Father, what is the truth here? Or aside from all of my assumptions of what will work and what won't work, what's the appropriate next step for me? You see? You must be willing for a moment to abandon your habitual assumptions Because, again, your assumptions are an active form of practicing faithlessness. Faithlessness isn't just hopelessness. Faithlessness is aggressive. Faithlessness is assertive. There's nothing passive about faithlessness. And in other words, it's willful.
It's exhausting.
Yes, it is. So, to set aside faithlessness means to set aside willfulness, to set aside your confidences, in good or bad. If you are confident as to how a healing is going to occur, your confidence may well blind you to the way the healing is really going to happen, the way God is unfolding it. You see? So confidences, positive or negative, constitute a shield that protects you against the direct, spontaneous experience of the experience of God. Which is going to be utterly original, unexpected, but always not shocking. It will always be comprehensible to you. The influx of insight, the sudden shift of perception, won't be a shift into the unbelievable. It won't be a shift into incomprehensible. That would be an experience of chaos for you. It will always be a shift into that which is so utterly comprehensible and so utterly simple that you will say, why didn't I see that before? You see what I'm saying?
I was asking you recently to help me to see my brother and sisters as the Christ that they are. And I don't know if this is part of how you are helping me, but I had a dream, and in that dream, I went to sleep and had a dream. And in that dream I experienced someone I know in a way that I wasn't expecting, and it was really a dramatic feeling that went along with it. Normally I don't pay that much attention to my dreams, but I just wondered if that was an answer, part of the answer that I was receiving.
Yes, indeed.
Because in that experience, I really did, I experienced that person in a way that they have not shown up in the human condition around.
In quote, the real life, unquote.
Right, quote, at all. It was very different, and it was rather shocking in a way. And it hasn't left me since, and I hope that I can actually begin to see everyone like that.
Now, before having the dream, whenever you thought of this person, you thought of him the way he has always been.
The way he behaved.
Exactly.
Yes.
And when you do that, you are practicing faithlessness. You are experiencing a spontaneous confidence in your perception of him.
And I didn't want to do that anymore. I knew it was not the way, I knew it was hurting me to do that.
Yes.